Hey there, YouTube. I've been working on some projects and I decided to myself that I needed to get a bigger grinder. Most angle grinders you find are 4.5 inch or 7 inch, so I started looking around and I wanted to do a quick review on the new one that I bought here. So, here we go. This is a Bosch 1994 6 HD. It's actually a 9-inch grinder. You can actually fit these 9-inch cutoff blades, and you can see how it just dwarfs the 4.5-inch grinder, like the regular everyday grinders that you see all the time. But with a bigger grinder, most of you know you can remove a lot of material really quickly. And so I started looking around to see which is the best big grinder you can buy. So when I got into looking at them, I got to looking at all the specs, and I found out that the Bosch has these anti-vibratory control handles right here, and then only on the 9-inch model you can get one with a hand guard like this. And if you get the right model, you can actually pull this lever and twist the handle, right? I'm actually still plugged in right here. Let me unplug it so y'all know, safety first. And so if you want to go into like a cutting mode or whatever, you can actually twist it like this. You can hold the tool like this, you know, upright, and you can move the handle on either side. And this one actually has the locking trigger function, so you can press it in, push it forward, and it'll stay on. So that way you can manipulate it around or cut things up, and then you just squeeze it and it pops right back out. And then you can turn this handle around back this way. It's also got ambidextrous right here, so you can pull it and twist it the opposite direction as well. So I decided I was trying to look for a big grinder, and I found out that they had a 7-inch model and then the 9-inch. So I was like, hell, I better get the 9-inch. And I actually saw some other YouTube videos explaining that they're almost the exact same tool, except for what is inside in the gearing on the gearbox on the top of the machine. So I was trying to get, most of the grinding wheels you'll find are 7-inch. Rarely do you need a 9-inch or a big cutoff, but I figured I might as well get the one with the big capacity. So then I had a thought in my head. It occurred to me that maybe I should get a 7-inch guard. So that's what this is right here. And I tried it already. I'll show you in a little bit that this 7-inch guard fits the 9-inch grinder. So you can get 7-inch blades, do whatever you want, and it does actually fit well with the 9-inch guard. But I'm going to put the 7-inch guard here on in a minute, and I think in case the wheel ever burst or something like that, it's better to have the right size guard with the same size machine. But I wouldn't recommend doing it the opposite way, because I think the 9-inch machine probably says on the box, I think it has a, there it is right there, 6,500 RPM max range, whereas the 7-inch machine has, I think, like a 9,000 RPM range. Anyway, it's quite a bit higher, so you wouldn't want to put a 9-inch disc, you know, on a 7-inch machine, even though they have the same thread pattern. And then another thing too I noticed is that when you buy like a wire wheel or a grinding disc, it has these threads, and they specifically call them out. It's a 5/8 thread, but the cutoff wheels have a 7/8 arbor. So I had to end up buying a 10-pack, because that's the only thing I could find on Amazon, to try and see if the 9-inch wheels will fit. And I found out that yes, they do. When you get to taking this thing off, it comes with the 2 flanges, and it actually fits the 7/8 inch arbor, and I can show you that here in a minute as well. Alright, so these are the flanges that come with the grinder itself. So you got a flat one here that goes on first. It's your base. It goes down flat on the threads. And then you got this other one here that's kind of a domed structure, and it's supposed to hold all your cutting wheels straight and whatnot. So I'm going to show you right here that this thing actually fits perfect inside of that 7/8 inch, and I can turn it around so that way you can see that it truly does fit right on there. So it's meant for it. So when you want a 9-inch blade for your 9-inch grinder, but it actually has the 5/8 thread pattern, you get the 7/8 arbor cutting wheels, and it will fit. Alright, so now I'll take it off. I'll put it on with the 7-inch guard with a wire wheel. Alright, so taking off the guard and switching it out to the 7-inch guard, you always want to make sure that your tool's unplugged. Always safety first. You got your wheel lock right here to release it, so if you just spin this, it ain't going to come off. You actually have to lock it, and then you can thread it off just like that. Boom, got it. Alright, so these grinders actually have this quick, easy, adjustable guard, so you can actually loosen it and adjust it. So if you want to go into like a cutting mode, bam, you can, oh, where am I at? I'm already there. Yeah, you can go into rotating mode and cut like that. Real easy to adjust the guard, but to actually get it off, you have to come this opposite direction, and it's in an up position like this, and there's actually an alignment where you have to get the guard to align. It's actually right there, and it should come off. I'm missing it. There it goes. Boom. Got it. Almost hit myself. Alright, so then the 7-inch guard, you can see, you just got to line it up. It should be somewhere right there. Boom. Just like that. Went straight on. Put it in the position you like. Lock it up. Now you can put it back on. We'll try a 7-inch wire wheel. And this is another thing too, when I looked up the specs on these tools, is that with the 9-inch machine, it says the max you can use on a wire wheel is a 7-inch wire wheel. So I didn't look at the specs on a 7-inch machine, but I think that you have to get a smaller wire wheel. So the difference, of course, is the gearing in the gear head itself on the head of the machine, and the RPM range. Alright, so then we got that wire wheel on, and then we can lock it up and tighten it up. Boom, there you go. Now you got it on there. So you got the 9-inch guard right here. It makes quite a bit of difference to have the little guard versus the big guard, but you know, maybe this wire wheel isn't the best example. You take that back off. Boom, take this guard back off. Has to go this way. And it'll come off. Just like that. Pull back my tool. And you can put this one back on. Boom, just like that. Alright, so now I'm going to show you the putting the flanges on. You got your flat flange right here, and its actual thread on. Make sure it's seated all the way flat. It even says it in the instruction. That's another thing too. Don't let anything obstruct you from actually following the instructions. Oh, that other arbor is right here. So what you'll do is you'll put this down. Damn, I think I did it backwards. Yeah, this one first. It's gotta be. The instructions will tell you which way it goes first. Alright, so now you can fit that on there. See, it fits real tight and nice, like it was made for it. And you can put your flat flange up against it. And it comes with that tool that I dropped right here. So I'm doing it at the same time I'm holding down this trigger. And you'll line these up. Give it some twist. Actually, you can turn the whole wheel till it gets really snug. Then use the tool. Get it really tight, nice and tight. Now you got a big dog guard and cutting tool. Snap that down. Make sure your handle's tight. Now you can see. Also, I'll show you the flexing in the handles. Pretty cool. So this compared to this, quite a bit of difference. You can remove a lot more material with a bigger machine. Maybe not quite as detailed as the little grinder, but another thing too I noticed while we're talking is how these machines sit. When I set it down on the table, you can always see that the handle is always floating. So what I notice is when I'm using it is that it's really heavy in the front. A couple times already I've choked up on the handle like this just to grind what I needed to, and then go back down. Since you have that lock, super handy to be able to do that, and you can still control it. But what I did notice is that it would start to kick. So what I ended up doing is putting it on my hip like this and getting in there and using my whole body to kind of use some fine motion instead of being like this and getting your elbows out, because it is a heavy machine. It's a 4 horsepower motor with this big old gearbox, and when it sits like this, what that tells me is that all the weight is right here. Understandably, it's a big grinder, so you can put all your weight and you're letting the machine, some of the weight of the machine do the work for you, but it gets a little bit tiring doing it like this if you're going to do it for any length of time. Alright, so this is the whole reason I bought this machine right here, is to grind on this big fire pit that I'm making. And so I cut out some designs. These are some designs from my girlfriend's home state, New Mexico. It's called a Zia. But anyway, I started grinding on it with that little 4.5-inch grinder, and I was like, God dang, this is going to take way too long. So then I started looking at bigger machines, different options, and that's when I went ahead and got this grinder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this back out to the 7-inch flat disc, 7-inch guard, throw my helmet on, and then I'm going to grind out the inside of this I cut out with a plasma cutter. Always make sure your tools are unplugged before you mess around with changing blades or touching the blades. Alright, now we got power. Get the inside of this, got my handles on tight. Alright, so I just wanted to show you what you can accomplish really quickly. You saw me knock that out real quick. So what I did is I did this leg right here, and I did this leg right here, grinding off the plasma cutter slag. And so these are what those other sides that I didn't hit used to look like. And that took me all of, what, 10 seconds, 15 seconds to do. So really big machines, knock it out really quickly. I think that with the 7-inch disc on the 9-inch grinder, you're really taking advantage of the gear ratio, and you have a lot of power. You're not quite spinning the disc as fast as the 7-inch machine would with the higher RPM, but with the gearing, you're really taking advantage of a higher torque level, and you can really put some pressure into removing a lot of material really quickly. Well, I hope that this was helpful. I do really like this grinder. I haven't used it enough to really say that the anti-fatigue and the flex handles are really super helpful, but I don't notice my hands hurting, and I think that's the main thing, is that you don't notice the vibration. Bosch has some really good videos of, I think they tape some bottles of water to the handles and they turn the machine on, they clamp it down, and you can see that the bottle, even the water in the bottles isn't even shaking. So I'm really happy with it. I really like the fact that the 7-inch guard fits the 9-inch machine, and I'm able to have that versatility, but I went ahead and bought the bigger one. That way I have the capacity and the torque levels and the correct RPM range for the 9-inch cutoff wheels. That way I can have that versatility when I need it. All right, thanks.